Banana and Bears Rugby Pod.
As we started a big slug of tea, I was about to take a big slug of tea. Welcome, everybody, to episode 7 of Banana and Bears Rugby Pod. I am, of course, Tom O'Mahony, and joining me with absolute gusto over in España? Is it España? Or did they just say España? Or Spain?
Yeah, España. They don't really pronounce their S's.
España. It's Anna Capers. You've turned me into a pedantic Patrick. I was in Limerick yesterday and I ordered a croissant, and the young one was the most now customer service in Limerick is normally pretty good, but this was the most disinterested, never has been pulled for her lack of fucks ever. This girl, she's like, yeah. I went, hi, could I get one of those croissants there? Croissant. I went, no, I don't know, would it have bothered me heavily before until you and your languages got.
And then you were like, oh, actually, no, I won't actually.
Oh, I'm not joking. It was only for the young fella was looking for a bite of my croissant. I knew he wanted it. He was like, you get one of them and I'll have a bite of it. I went, okay, I'll get one of them. But it was I swear to God, I would have, she hit the T 3 times. She said, croissant, is it? Which croissant is it? Here, I'm going to get one of them croissants, move out of the way. I went, oh, for fuck's sake.
What kind of croissant was it? Was it almond? Was it plain?
No, it had chocolatey things in it.
Yes.
So, yeah, no, they can, if I wouldn't have stuck it out if it was a plain old croissant. It's even so much harder to push that T at the end. Like, it's like, come on now. Come on.
If it's a very good croissant,
it didn't turn out to be what it was. It looked great, but it was about a 5.5 as croissants go.
Oh no!
Yeah, and even that's me being kind now. That's me being kind. Even to the point that the little fella, he would have munched through the entire thing, but even he had 2 bites. Went, I'm stuffed now. But he kind of said it in a patronizing way, like, "going, nah, you're grand."
His croissant.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You're back in Spain. How's your? Where did you get? Like, you're so on brand all the time. Like, you got this Murphy's Scottish Irish hat on. Don't tell me Murphy's.
I knew Paddy's Day was coming up, so I just grabbed it from home. It hasn't got a day out in a while now. Now I don't even know when I'm going to get to wear this because, well, first of all, so when I spoke to you last week, I said we'd won at the weekend. So we had a good win 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
But on Saturday, we beat the
Crocodiles,
the leaders of the league. The Cocos.
Necrogli. Or I'm just winging that now. So you beat Cocodrios?
We did. In the last fucking play of the game was brilliant. And that's the first time they lost this season. So great win for us. 2 big wins on the hop there now. So you're
still in the hunt.
Oh yeah. We're still in the hunt. And once you get to playoffs,
it's any given Sunday then, isn't it? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And a caplice could be or caplice. I don't know. Did they put a TH in? Caplice. Yeah. So Anna Caplice, the Italian ringer, it would sound like that they've brought in. You have to have turned the tide, surely.
We'll go with that. I've tried to help, but I'd love to win the Spanish Prem.
How class would that be?
Yeah, because I won an Irish one, an English one, and a Spanish one then.
Jesus. So who do you play next and when do you play? Because this is obviously Elon. You thought your season was nearly going to be over 3 weeks ago.
It didn't look like we were going to make the playoffs. So we would have been finished we would have only had 2 more games. So now, well, as it's going, we're in 5th, which puts us out of the playoffs. But like with hopefully 2 more good wins, now we'll make it to playoffs. So we've got another game Actually, it's Sunday. This is the balls. Was I telling you this about?
No.
Yeah, it's Sunday. So fucking Paddy's Day is Friday, right? We've training Friday evening, so can't even go to the pub. Saturday, we have to drive to Madrid. So we get on the bus about 11 o'clock in the morning. We don't get to Madrid till about 8 p.m. So I'm going to have to watch all of the rugby on my laptop on a bus.
Yeah, you're gonna have to watch it through those illegal streams again with like alien
Yeah,
nipples and stuff.
yeah. People waving their arses in my face. Yeah. So it's a bit sad. I'm sad about that, but like it is what it is. I'm here in Spain. I'm playing here. That's the that's what I've decided to do this year. So just have to go with it. I was thinking of like, would I just go down to Madrid on the Friday and go out for Paddy's Day, find some Irish pub, go out for Paddy's Day, and then stay all day in the pub Saturday to watch the rugby, and then just meet the team on Saturday evening. But I think it's not fair. I need to be with the team, like so.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah, because I just looked at the diary, and I'm going to be in Waterford again. I'm going to be back in Waterford with Neil Delamere in the Theatre Royal. Literally, the match will have just ended. So I'll have to find a pub somewhere near the theatre. Get down to Waterford early, which is never something I like to do. Nothing against Waterford, but Waterford people know what I'm talking about. Like, but get down there.
I like Waterford.
It's grand, but sure, you could go in there and the next thing to be, but you'd only find soccer. You know, that kind of way. Like, it could be.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Surely not on Six Nations Super Saturday. By the way, has anyone planned a Six Nations Super Saturday party like I was putting out there?
God, I hope so. A couple of people I know did it. Actually, two people I know, they would have for sure, but they've both become parents in the last. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. There'll be yearnings for it. All right. There's nothing like a super set. The only problem is that you'd end up being blotted.
But you focus it around food as well. Like it's not just getting hammered. Like get the food in. I've done it before. We did it before, but it was very low key. And I was just like, I'd love to do this like larger scale, like for the Super Bowl.
The Americans,
get everyone to bring dips and food and like literally just like get everyone to pitch in and bring something and like you spend all day eating because you don't want to be drunk for the Irish game then either. So you've got to like. If you want to watch all the rugby and like people could probably come after the first game or during the second game or whatever, like, but yeah, I'd love to. If I was at home now, that's what I'd do.
I think a big barbecue, yeah, that'd be unbelievable. Start from early and that'd be class. That'd be class.
Yeah. And everyone dresses up. What would you dress up as?
I think I'd like to dress up as a ball. I'd just be kicked as people walk past me. I'd actually willingly be kicked as people walked around. Just kick me in the arse up and down the place. I'd just like to be a ball. I don't know why. It'd be utterly impractical because I'd be doing most of the cooking, like so my little arms tried to get to it like a T-Rex. I
love that. But then you could actually just like retract your arms in your head and just kind of
yeah.
Become a little recluse for a while when things start to get We had a Six Nations fancy dress before. It was on the way back from a match in Dublin, I think, with the UL Bows girls. And we just put it out there like, this is the photo that I have on my Instagram of everyone stopped at the National Cattle Breeding Centre.
Yeah.
We took a photo outside there because one of the girls had left her car there, so we pulled in to let her out. And we were all dressed up. Like there was the Queen and there was like pizza, like people with pizza boxes and like what else, people with baguettes, like other famous people from like all the different countries. It was so funny. I went as Nigel Owens.
Yeah, but
I was the referee blowing my whistle at everyone.
I love how you put that picture up and there was absolutely no context as to why you were in front of the cattle breeding. I was like, what kind of gig was she hosting here? Because I know you're into this corporate chat. I went, Jesus, that's a nice one to get. The cattle
I'm almost sad I told the story now. Just leave it to imagination.
I wasn't any the better. Immediately the following night after you were drinking, you were talking about Guinness and Murphy and the last night I had my own podcast, and the following night with a chap, Keith Fox, he drank 3 cans with the Nitro Surge, 3 cans of Guinness during the entire podcast. I'm like, Jesus Christ almighty, this is just pushing me over the edge. Good God.
How was he with the Nitro Surge, may I ask?
He will rate it. He said, like, if you got it, stepping back from 10 out of 10 pints, he reckons a good 7.9. And that's as good as you're ever. I've tried many a can at home. He even had the jewelry cleaner thing that vibrated it. Do you remember that? Those things. Do you remember them? Do you not remember them? During lockdown, there was this whole thing where you got your can. You got these special cans. They were like they're a bit longer, And they were pre the
Yeah.
nitro surge thing that you clip on the top, and you
Yeah.
you sit them onto this thing that vibrates the can. Oh no, sorry, you pour it in and then you sit your glass on it, and it vibrates it, and it settles properly, and then you pour it again, and it gives you. It was supposed to be as good as any pub bought pint, but somebody worked out that these things for 200 quid that Guinness were selling were actually just jewelry cleaners. They had the exact same sonic power some which way as jewelry cleaners. So like Amazon was just riddled with these jewelry cleaners, and Aldi was selling them for like 30 quid and stuff. Yeah. So but the nitro surge thing, he did have to queue up for it. Even at the time, it was like people were gone bananas for it, but he rated it very highly.
Well, because I used my. Sorry, did I drop out there? Saying I used my nitro surge for the first time there last weekend, and I made a total balls of it.
What'd you do?
Like, I don't know. I just didn't do it right. Anyway, I need more practice.
Wow. just putting that out to the universe there, Guinness. I need more practice. I've made a bollocks of the last one. Good God.
Second did and I was like, oh, this will be nice, like content now for Guinness. Like I'll make a nice which is easy to do for me for Guinness because I adore Guinness. So for them to send me the nitro surge is like perfect. I don't feel like a sellout because I'm like, yes, like I get to drink Guinness at home with a nitro surge. I was so excited. And whatever I did anyway, do you know what I did? I know what I did. I didn't press the button and I started to pour it and I was like, oh shit, I need to press the button. And then I had already messed it up. So it looked desperate. So I made a total balls of it.
Did you drink it anyway?
Oh yeah.
Well, yes. Well, we had success and non-success. Do you remember you asked if I got chips after that gig in Waterford the other night?
Oh yes.
Waterford midweek, like there are higher spots and wilder spots in the apocalypse. Like literally nothing is happening. There was not a chip to be found in the entire city. I mean, I drove out the street that I knew had a load of chippers. Every one of them closed at like 10:30. I'm like, Jesus. But it was all saved. I was all saved. I had a great gig Friday night with Neil Delamere. But another strange thing I never understand. This huge room, 450, 500 people in it, and they had 3 bar staff. 3 bar staff. Why would you do that to people? Why would you not have 33 bar staff if it takes giving everybody as many drinks as possible? But immediately afterwards, I messaged somebody I knew, Louise Cody. She'd know the chippers of whatchamacallit. Oh, top chipper down the bottom of the main street called the Golden Grill. Proper crispy, spuddy chips. Now, I will say, the staff, fairly stoic. What do you want? I'm like, hello, could I get a bag of chips, please? And you know what? While I'm at it, we'll get an old battered sausage. Better sausage. Cheap. I'm like, okay. And you know she's stoic when she counts the napkins that she gives you. She counted out 3 by accident and took away 1. 2 will do. I'm like, 2 will do. So okay.
Your mustache will do the rest.
It did. Truth be told, it did. Then you were interested. I had the gig for the under-20s Tipperary hurlers. The following day. Yeah, it's I had to talk to him. Jokes don't land for 17 to 20-year-old young fellas who can only think about hurling. This is there was no jokes landing at all. It was like, right. Nothing landing. I mean, on a minor scale, but I was like, I'm just going to talk to these lads, so just see who's got what to say. But I pointed out, I was like, I'm literally talking to a room full of the exact same people. There is no variance in any of you, bar some of you may have a girlfriend, some of you don't. That's about it. Like it was, and even they were like, "Oh yeah, we pretty much are a carbon copy of each other." This is.
I bet they all had the same haircut as well.
Pretty much. There was a couple of to be fair, it was good crack. I ripped into the backroom staff all right, and they enjoyed it. But it was a very strange gig. We literally opened the doors of the club. The lads all shuttled in, sat down, finished. The lad opened the door. The lads all shuttled straight back out onto the bus. Like it was just an activity, a very activity. That was it.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Yeah. And these lads, I don't think would have had the ability to hang around and chit chat anyway. Do you know, they were just one directional mindset.
You needed a few pints in them.
Yeah, I don't know. Like some of the lads were like 16 or 17. Like they were like only children. So you're kind of going, oh, and then you realize 20-year-olds, even at 20, you're going, oh, you're still a child. And these lads have experienced nothing anyway. They're not even allowed to go on a J1. They're not, because they're just hurling.
Yeah. Jesus, yeah.
It was an
Open their
interesting
minds small, but
small, but we had a good old crack. And it was, yeah, I think I probably taught them some things that their coaches didn't want teaching, if you know what I mean. Probably broke some of their brains a little bit, but it was good crack. It was good crack regardless. But I was done by 6 o'clock. So inspiration from yourself, I got a couple of cans of Guinness for myself. So I was off for a Saturday night. Technically, didn't get any fancy nitro surges or none of that carry on. But yeah, next week, hopefully on Sunday, I'm going to swim with fishes in an aquarium in Galway.
wow.
Yeah, apparently it's really good crack. Although the person that was telling me about it hated it, but her husband loved it. So it
What's
comes up.
this?
It's in Galway. So you go. I don't know anything about it other than I'm going to have to check it out. But I mentioned it to my wife, and she was like, "Yes, Jesus Christ, yes, let's do that." Said it to the little fella. He was like, "I get to climb in with fish. Can I catch one?" I went, "If you can catch one, I think it's yours." So you kind of get into this big vat with these fish, and they go crazy for you. They start flopping around the water. They get very excited by the idea of you standing in there, or maybe terrified. I don't know, but either way,
It's not one of those fish pedicures, is it?
no, that's what I was asking for. So did these things nibble at? She goes, no, they're big bastards. If they nibbled at your foot, they take one off. She goes, they're big.
What?
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that,
Oh
and
my God, that
I will
sounds
report.
gas.
I will report back afterwards as to what. You know, it'll probably be on my Instagram stories, but I'll tell you all about it next Monday.
Yes.
But
Can't wait.
but yeah, I know we're dancing around the whole situation here because we're just seeing what each other was at. You beat the crocodiles. I was hanging around with some youngsters, which makes that sound creepy. But we had my text to you was like, "Oh yeah." By the way, kudos. I'm putting it out there. I know I left you a voice message, but put it out there. I know you said you cheated on the podcast last weekend and you went on House of Rugby. You were outstanding on House of Rugby. Very, very, very good. Very good. I was like, Jesus Christ, who's this Anna one? I could listen to her all day. Tell me more, Anna Capeless. It was very, very good.
Like, why is she so much better on that podcast?
No, in fairness to you, are very polite to the hosts in that there were several times I was going, Anna's going to stomp in over what they're talking about here now. Shut up, Greg, will you? Anna's definitely going to stop. No. Oh, fair play. Fair play. She did not, because I definitely would have. There was a few points there. Like, no. And that is a sign of a good guest.
Well, can I... Oh, no, sorry. We'll get on to it in a while when we start talking about the rugby. But yeah, thanks, Mel. Because I want to... No, we'll get on to it when we start talking about Ireland. But we've to cover the other matches first.
Of course we do. We'll go chronologically because you have to open a bruntiness slowly but surely. And the bruntiness being... I'm trying all my Oscailga here when it's around you, but we'll go chronologically as we have done so far. Kicked off, I text you, and it was like, Jesus Christ, the drama. It is. I know it's down to us. We said before the Six Nations started, it is the greatest tournament ever. Which, by the way, your article, your column in the Evening Echo, you voiced exactly the same thing that essentially.
Did you read it?
I did.
Oh, yeah.
And it was exactly what we've been saying. But I think it's down to us that the tournament. I think they spiced it up purely down. And I'm not saying we have some decent amount of listeners now. I'm putting it down to us, Anna. We were in before the tournament actually started, and I think a lot of the coaches were probably listening, going, "We have to pull up our socks here because this tournament needs to get more dramatic for Tom and Anna because they've put the pressure on us that it has to be the best tournament in the world."
Yeah,
and it's panned out that way. We may take full credit for how brilliantly dramatic this tournament has been so far.
Well, I would like to add to that, which is the point I was going to make in a second, but it kind of makes sense to make it now, that I think that other people have been listening to us as well, because I have heard on other podcasts people saying what we've been saying all along, which is it doesn't matter what happens, and how good Andy Farrell is, and all the credit is going to him, and how he'll be saying to them, actually, if we lost to England this weekend, who fucking cares? And that is being said by real pundits, not just you and me, real people who call themselves real pundits. And I swear to fuck, it's what we've been saying all along. And I'm like, Jesus, if I'd say people would have disagreed with us up until now, but now that the big shots are saying it, they're like, oh, well, maybe on top of the point. Because I'm telling you, like, I'm not just blowing smoke. I'm still, like, these are all things that I say from my own experience and just from being a rugby fan for so long. And like, if England did come and like spoiled our party, if it was me and I was in an Irish jersey, I'd be like, yeah, fuck it. But like, the World Cup is the holy grail. I don't care. Like, we have enough Six Nations. Grand Slams are great crack, and let's not take it away. To be fair, I don't think that we're going to lose next week. But if we did,
yeah, but that's I can tell you for factorious that there is one pundit in particular who I know, and I've had him on my own show, and I've been good enough pals with him. I won't name him on here, I'll tell you after, but he for sure listens to this. And he even voiced it. He was like, you two make me so happy and giddy about the idea of rugby that I
wonder if it's who I was listening to today, because he was saying like literally what we've been saying.
Well, it's a news talk. It's somebody on news talk. All right. And now more could be listened to, but the joy of the sport. And I think it's probably feeding off that it's good to just test yourself to the hardest. Like they all say, this is the games you want to play, and we all want to test ourselves in the hardest situations. But you see, look, we'll get onto it anyway. We'll go on through the thing. But I do, to double down on what you were saying, I think you're right. We're taking full credit for the entire.
You're right.
Jeez, stop it. We're like a couple of legends over here. Doubling down that
Who played first this weekend?
Up first was Italy versus Sasnabjog, Wales.
Yes. And Wales took it in the end, to be fair to them.
We did. Like, this is both bitter and sweet and bitter in both directions. There was two edges to this sword. You wanted Wales. Everybody was looking for Wales to do, Jesus Christ, pull something out of the fire and show us something. But by the same token, I think we were all, as rugby enthusiasts, who were just buzzing for Italy. And still, even Italy losing, I'd still have the opinion that, Jesus, you know what? Italy are still probably in a healthier place than Wales are overall, I think. Because
I would agree, but just by how the match was. I mean, yeah. I kept kind of seeing, you kept seeing kind of positive things from Italy. And then you're like, what have Wales actually done here to be winning this game? So
a penalty try, a fortuitous one for Rio. Is it Rio Dyer? A fortuitous bounce. So that's 14 points.
Oh, yes.
So you're
which was good, but pure luck. But the thing with Italy is, Jesus, they were carving up, and it also felt like Capuzzo was on the pitch.
Yeah.
Like how they were able to slice open and let through their backs. Like, that's how Capuzzo plays. So it's obviously, not just down to him. Like, that's the platform he's being given, because they're able to do it without him as well, which is really exciting for Italy in general. My God, the fabulous phases of play they put together. And once they get in behind the gain line, they absolutely shit themselves. And their passing skills, if it's one thing, any country in the world can have passing skills. Get your passing under pressure right. That's at least one thing you can turn up to the Six Nations with. Oh my God, the passes, even the 2 tries that they got, the passes barely went to hand.
Yeah.
Only for was it Seb Negri that has big massive shovels. They wouldn't have scored those tries. Only for very lucky. So Italy did I feel like they are so close to perfecting things, but they've obviously worked so hard on phase play and reading defense. But then it's the next few steps. It's like playing snooker. The professionals will be thinking 5-6 shots ahead, whereas Italy are only thinking 2-3 steps ahead, and then they get in behind the line and they're like, how do you Carson in Italian?
I kind of took a small bit of do you remember when Andy Farrell took over first, or even to a more local sense when Graham Rowntree took over and brought in all the lads? The wheels were there was no wheels on the wagons. You're like, what is going on here? But you're like, oh no, this is a whole new way to play. And it's over time, it's taken 18 months for Andy Farrell or whatever. Probably quite quicker when it came to Graham Rowntree and Munster, but you're seeing the layers that they're putting to their game. And you hear this all the time, and I hate it because they never explain it, what they mean by layers. And you literally just outlined, say if they have 5 layers, their attack approach and how they fan out and how they move it and everything else and how they feign, how they cut through gaps. Let's say number 5, the final one they got to get is that final pass where they don't piss the bed. And it took Ireland. Ireland were shite in that Six Nations, that first one that Andy Farrell had with them. They weren't a patch on what they are now. So you could only hope that if they go on the same trajectory, that if Italy, and it won't, is it Kieran Crowley or Kieran Crowley as what's his name? They keep on calling him, kind of trying to relay him back to Ireland, but Kieran Crowley being a fucking Kiwi. Yeah. He'll have spotted that and went, right, okay, all right. Well, look, lads, we still have class players and we're still all relatively young.
Well, at least, and they're getting the first few steps right. So now it's about time to put it all together. But it's like us. There's so much when I was watching England, I was thinking of us in Crat. Crat is the name of the team I play for here in Spain. We're like that. We, practice things, and once we break the line, they'll blow the whistle to stop, as if it was a try scored, like a try given. And I'm like, no.
Oh, a training.
Go down and form a rock. Sorry, in training. Go down and form a rock so that we can practice this next phase. It's like, boop. But that happens a lot. That's just not a thing here in this team. Like that would have happened like in so many other teams I've played, and you're just like, boop, blow it up because people kind of stop running. But it's the same in defense. If someone breaks through, everyone kind of gives up, like, that's probably a try at the weekend. But no, because if someone managed to scramble, you've got to work back and you've got to figure out, like, shit, how do we go from here? But if you're not practicing that, that's what Italy reminded of. And England, so many things that England did, I was like, oh my God, that's how we played on Saturday when we were fucking blown out our arse. It was pouring rain, but it was like a steam room or a sauna. It was like playing in a sauna. I've never played in conditions like that. It was horrible. Like it was like 17 degrees, but it was like playing in the jungle. It was so hot.
As my father would say, you could make tea out of that rain.
Rotten.
But
so England looked like that. But anyway,
I think it was again a good bit of wallpapering over some heavy subsidence cracks that haven't been underpinned at all. Sorry for dragging up my engineering background, but by the likes of Liam Williams' brilliance cutting up the wing, like it looked great. Couple of gammy bad tackles, and I think Italy switched off in that moment. He got through. It was a great looking try from Liam Williams. Again, getting Welsh people cheering and happy, and I think it was 29-17 for a finish. But really, on another day, if Italy can put together what you're talking about, that final piece in the jigsaw puzzle, again, another cliche that I hate using, but it genuinely is, like, it's just putting the jumper on the outfit. That's a better one. Fuck it, let's go with jumper on the outfit.
Your hat on.
Your hat on, the final, there you go.
A bow on your hat.
Exactly. Putting a hat on your bow, the final piece. I don't know
who put... There was loads of Welsh fans there.
There was, but surely you would too, wouldn't you? Like, you know what I mean?
Sure, I suppose they'd all booked ages back. Like,
yeah.
People go to Rome anyway. They don't even know the rugby's going on. They'd be hammered turning up. They'd be like, I don't even remember the game.
Well, I given the fortuitous bounce for Rio Dyer and a penalty try, take that back 14 points. You're down to 15-17 at that stage. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be getting overly excited. Sasnak Biog. Or Wales, as you would also be known. But yeah, all in all, I wasn't overly enamored. It's hard to get overly warmed towards when Italy aren't finishing off the exciting things they're creating. You're like, oh, Jesus Christ. And our favorite player of the tournament, Capuzzo, wasn't there. Yeah. But yeah, I would be excited to see if I would imagine Kieran Crowley will put together that final phase play. And apparently what's coming through for the next 7 years, they reckon, even though it's fallen off a cliff, they reckon it'll fall off a cliff after that, but they reckon they have 7 years of really good rugby players coming through. That's a great thing to say. I don't think Wales could say that in Italy. I think they've 7 years. They reckon have quality lads to come through. So,
as long as I think were we talking about this already? They've kind of dismantled the
yeah, unfair.
academy
That's what they
system.
reckon.
They
He
were
reckons
builder,
he reckons he's gotten them 7 years worth. Your man was it Stephen Aboud is his name. Yeah, he reckons he's gotten them 7 years of stock is coming through. You know,
Great.
along with the lads. So we'll say he's probably 4 years of stock, but he reckons there'll be 7 years of prosperous rugby.
Right.
But
I
unfortunately,
say great there. For people who are listening and not watching, that was great with an eye roll, as in like, what the hell? That's grand, but what what happens after that then? Like, is that what you're going for? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see how they finish up. But will Italy come last?
they will. They probably will. I would imagine at this stage they probably come last. Unfortunately, but you know, effort and all the rest of it counts for nothing. You got A for effort. But lads must try harder. Doesn't matter.
They turn up to the World Cup with all the lessons learned.
You see, this is the thing. They might be pulling the an old red herring on all of us. Moving on to the well, it was a bit of a cringe fest watching this. I missed most of this match in doing the gig with those lads, the hurlers.
Oh, yeah.
And I came out at like the 65th minute. I damn near dropped my cup of tea to watch because I watched it out in the bar. When I saw this, I thought it'd be tighter than this, but I watched good chunk at the extended highlights, the 25 minutes highlights back, and that's all I needed to fucking see, because other than that, it was like, oh God, you've such class players, England. Now, in all fairness, France, they were going, oh, they're amazing. They were amazing because the defense from England, they didn't know where to be standing. It was unbelievable how easily they carved them open. Like, it was when you're given the quality of player that they have. I mean, yes, France's clear outs and stuff like that at the ruck to drive him backwards but their realignment and everything, it's just, I couldn't get over it.
Do you know what pisses me off though is like, English fans now. Okay, so there was I save screenshots, but then I can't look at my phone because I'm using the phone for the light inside of my wardrobe.
Right, yeah.
But someone was saying, look, this just means that the Premiership just isn't good enough and is way off, which is an interesting thing to say because actually, Premiership, like I don't think I agree with that. I just think in an England kind of concoction that they haven't just got it right yet. Because the Premiership is brilliant. I fucking love the Premiership. I love watching the Premiership.
When England were at their best, they were made up of about 14 Saracens. I'm sorry, like, so it was the Saracens team. You know what I mean? That went out and beat everybody.
Because what they were saying was like, oh, well, it's destroyed now because of the salary cap. It'll never be the same. Because, like, how does that make any sense? Like, surely you should share the wealth and the players so that you develop more players and you make sure that there's more, like, coaches are up to scratch across the Premiership, basically. But what I was going to say about it is, like players now like calling for the heads of the young players. He's not good enough. Yeah. So what you do? Pick someone else. And then he won't be good enough. Pick someone else so he won't be good enough. Like, calm your tits. Like, fucking let them play and let them learn. And like this whole debate around like Farrell and Smith, is really difficult. Like, it must be really hard to listen to. I'm sure they've kind of got their own way of managing it. But even for Marcus Smith, like, I just hate that. Like, and Alex Dombrandt, who actually, do you know what, I almost should have given Dick of the Data as well because he dropped an unmerciful. He had a desperate knock on from a DuPont kick that was like in their own 22. Oh God, I felt so sorry for him. But he's so brilliant. Like, it's not like he does that for Harlequins. Like, that's an uncharacteristic mistake. So there's something not right. It's not like this is the caliber of what you do in the Premiership, so this isn't working for England. Like, no, that's not how he plays in the Premiership. Like, it's just weirdly doesn't seem to be working. But like, what really annoys me is people commenting on like Marcus Smith's looks.
Oh God, yeah.
That. And you know what? It makes me think, because people are kind of comparing him to Gavin Henson. And I even remember when I was younger, thinking about Gavin Henson and how people used to talk about his fake tan and his hair and whatever. I remember being really confused by that and feeling really confused. The same kind of thing, like, so what? Like, but Marcus Smith, So what? He's always worn his hair floppy. It's probably even a cultural thing because he's
half Filipino or something, isn't he?
That's where he's from. Yeah, he was born in the Philippines. He lived in Singapore as well when he was younger. But like that floppy hairstyle is like a very Asian thing. Like that's what people do with their hair there. So he keeps it and that's why he wears it. Stuart Hogg talked about this a lot. People coming for his looks all the time. He's like, you hated me when I wore my hair this way. You hated me when I got my teeth done. Now I look different, and you hate me still. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, I just hate people going after like players' looks. Like,
it's a very British thing to doing what the British media thing, and also it's a trigger pulling. Like it's so straight. Like it's indicative of what they did with Eddie Jones. You're like, yeah, okay, things weren't going great, but you don't swap him out 8 months out. The guy who took you to a World Cup final last. You made your bed. You should have stuck with. And also to turn to Steve Borthwick, who isn't long in the bed of Leicester either. You're like, what? Lads, relax. You've been down this road before. You keep on repeating yourselves and doing what you're doing. Like as you said, calling for the heads of the young lads. I don't think it's the young lads. Look how the Premiership is. I know there's a hashtag that goes around that URC is the greatest tournament in the world or whatever. But it's it could in all fairness to the Premiership, lads look on at that going, that's class. You've played in the Premiership, like it's proper local derbies and stuff are happening every single weekend. Do you know? So
gas. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, finish up.
Sorry, so what I was just reiterating what you were saying essentially is that, but you see, okay, it won't be played at the same pace as international stuff, but you'll see a better standard of rugby. You just do. That's the reality of it. I hate to say it, but there are cowboys everywhere, and I have a funny feeling the staff that are coaching, and of course you see the tweets coming out. Great to see the England backroom staff coaching Ireland so well. You're like, oh, for the love of Jesus, for the love of Jesus, like.
That's not how it works. Like there's always been an exchange of coaches, and they'll move on and around the world at different times, and it only depends on pure luck as to what crop of players is available when they're there. Yeah. But talking about the Premiership, when I first joined, I moved to Harlequins. I also was working for Harlequins. Like, it's so interesting, like the Premiership, like I worked in the foundation at Harlequins, which is a charity set up by this Premiership team, and every Premiership team has a foundation, and your role in the foundation is to give back to the community. So like my role would have been like coaching girls, coaching in like schools where you can target minority groups to make sure that they're getting enough exercise, and it's unbelievable. And like we did things like hosting events for like people who live in the area with dementia and things like that. Like, wow. It's amazing. Every Premiership club has this, and there's coaches, and then that's what I was doing. So I loved it so much. But like when I started working there, Harlequins had just got back into the Heineken Cup, and I remember like being really excited about this, like, oh, there's going to be Heineken Cup games, oh my god. And so I asked someone in the office about it. It's like, so Harlequins like back in the European Cup? And they were like, oh right.
Oh no.
I was like, huh? Like, they don't give a shit about European rugby, which is proven when they send out kind of second string teams around the place. But they, like, not even that they don't give a shit. It's so secondary to the Premiership. Like, it's so bizarre when it means so much to us. Like, and it's the be all and end all for us. Which always surprises me how Exeter won it a few years ago. Like, how did they manage that? Well, that was pure luck.
Listen to a couple of the the players that have gone over there. It would seem there's a handful of teams in England and France that give one shite about Europe. But for the most part, if Europe went out the window, even still Exeter or Saracens are the ones that have won it before, or Wasps, God rest their soul, they would at the same time go, oh, that's grand, but we still have the Premiership, and that's finishing the top 6 minimum is what we need, and that would always take precedence. Whereas with us, it was always Europe, and then the version that would be the Celtic Cup would be go on. But it would be nearly the opposite for them. And the same, like it was only ever Toulouse, Toulon, I suppose Racing, and maybe one or two others. Claremont for a while give a shit about it, but they don't really, care about Europe. It's interesting. I suppose if we had 12 teams in Ireland, maybe we wouldn't give that much of a shit 12 strong
Yeah,
professional teams in
maybe.
Ireland, we mightn't give it, much of a shite about the whole thing. Like, but
It
yeah,
reminds me of, that meme where like the dude is presented with his medal and he's like, fucking yeah. And he like pops the champagne and he like grabs your one and kisses her. And then it zooms out and he's in like third place on the podium. That's like Leinster when they win the Heineken Cup. Yes. And then everyone else is like, oh, was that tournament still on?
Was that Saturday? Was it? Oh, right. Because I cut the lawn on Saturday. I missed it. I missed it. But yeah, the England. I mean, the trousers absolutely well and truly pulled down, and they are spanked something ferocious. Like France, were they? Here's my opinion. I want to see your opinion on it. Were France as good? I mean, were they what 53? Was it 53-10? Were they 43 points better, or were England just very poorly coached? What do you think? I mean, they were pulling off some, like your man Dupont, that chip through on his bad leg as well. You're like, oh, Jesus Christ. Now, the only thing I will say is, right, Dupont, like, he has so much heat on him right now. He's like Hulk Hogan in the late 80s, early 90s. Anything he would do now, they're going, oh, Jesus Christ, I'd say he's a fucking genius, that fella. I'd say he's a fucking genius. But
Exactly,
there are people who are doing cool stuff everywhere on rugby pitches, but they're not catching the hype train, just like Antoine Dupont, which is justified, no doubt. It is justified, but there are lads pulling off class moves everywhere.
Yeah.
Sorry, that wasn't my original question. The question was, do you think it was that France were really that good, or were England dog shit? Unfortunately,
Combo.
So
Combo happy meal.
yeah,
Combo sad meal. Yeah, and like England they didn't look fit.
That's what I thought.
Tired. Yeah.
They looked wrecked by the end of it. Now, is that a mental thing, or it hardly is?
I thought they looked wrecked early on. Like, you see Maro Itoje, he was on the try line, like sauntering over. That's when I thought they looked like us from the weekend, when we were like, like dying in the
blowing
sauna.
smoke. Yeah,
and I was like, that's what he looks like. He was just sauntering on his own try line. So there's something else there as well. Like, Maro Itoje, like, what an animal. Like, he's so unreal. And you'd never saunter like that. And there was a few comments about that, like in the papers and stuff, saying that like they didn't give it 100%. And I wonder, are they a bit wrecked? They need a bit of a shake up, like mentally, maybe, and maybe they're not getting it from Borthwick, and it certainly seems that way. And like, if it is just a fitness thing, like, that's easily fixed. But if it's a mental thing, they need a bit of a sus biog, and like back to the drawing board, and like, okay, what the fuck do we want out of this year, out of this Six Nations, out of the Six Nations? Obviously a bit of a write-off now, but like coming into the summer, and like, are they going to be able to like get fit physically, but get fit in their minds as well, is going to be the big challenge for them.
I can't believe that the likes of Maro Itoje, who's been such a professional for so long, was physically unfit. I can't buy it. Like, do you know what I mean? No, I could be wrong, and maybe that they haven't grasped. Maybe Borthwick is a bit old school, and he hasn't grasped that rugby has moved on. Rugby has to be. You have to be ready to play 100 minutes in rugby. That's just the reality. You have to be, so that you're still in the 90% zone, coming up on the 80 minutes marks. Like, because that's how Ireland and the top ones are playing it. Like, that's how Japan. I'll go back to Japan at the last World Cup. That's how fit those whores were. They were able to play. That's how they beat South Africa. They were just physically fitter than them. But I can't buy that a pro like him. Jesus, no. It has to be a mental thing. I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think a big session in Crack August Kjol should be spent with no England garb, no nothing. Maybe change your accent. Out in the lash and mellow, I think. And not even a weekend. I think start on a Tuesday, drink through to Thursday. In pubs, quiet. Above is it Derry Murphy's?
Yeah.
Finish most evenings up in Derry Murphy's with a sing-song. I'd say, come Friday, you'd be all dying in the horrors. But the following Monday, I'd say they'd be in fine fettle after that, because they need to do this. This has been, they may dump this. This has been a rot, 5 weeks of rot for poor old England. I think they need to, if we want to see, I don't particularly want to see it, but you do. I do want to see it, because England have to be there. But you don't want to absolutely stomp them into dust. Now,
They need,
I did tweet before the Scotland match that I believed, and I still kind of do. I still kind of do. If none of the England players saw the Ireland match of the weekend, if none of them heard anything about it, I'm considering that England could still be a right old dose for Ireland at the weekend, which I still think they could be, but I don't see it. Want to be something magical or to happen negatively for Ireland and positively for England for it to happen, because as they're going at the minute, if you're in England, we won't say player because you might be able to, I don't know, transfix yourself into the notion that you're going to pull it out of the bag and do something amazing. But if you were like a minor backroom staff person, somebody whose job it was to mind the studs, you'd be going, for fuck's sake, how am I supposed to stay positive all week with these lads facing into Ireland Paddy's weekend for the first chance to win a Grand Slam at home? And Robbie Henshaw is back. You know what I mean? Like,
but you can use it either way.
Yeah.
As well. Like, what they're going to be saying is like, we'd fucking love to go and shut those fuckers up. That's what they're going to be using. And like, whatever kind of simple methods they can use to make, they need to use the pitch a bit more. They were playing into the middle of the pitch a lot. Like, when the turnover happened, they're all over the place in defense. But like, they need to just spread the ball a bit more. But like, they're going to be, I don't know. They can't kick too much if that's the kind of organization they have in defense, and if it's Hugo Keenan, Mack Hansen, or James Lowe under a ball, so they're gonna need something a bit fresh. But I think maybe they did go to the pub this week and just be like, lads, come on, we just want to play, we just want to enjoy it, and like just like get something out of this. Like, if they can, there'll be no doubt like in them that they'll be like, look, this has been shite, I want to win. Like, so however they're going to figure that out, I don't know. But in terms of like France, they will, and then we'll get on to Ireland because we've been holding back so much.
Yes, I know.
France could win the World Cup.
That was actually a very French thing you even did there. I don't know, Tommy, Thomas, I don't know. Just smoking a cigarette. I don't even like cigarettes. They absolutely could. Like, they put, like, when they had, what I will appreciate about France is that, and any team should learn from this, have no pity on your enemy. I mean, they absolutely took. But you see teams,
England,
but you do see teams get a bit sloppy. We saw it with Munster the last day. Like, they went ahead by 30 odd points. Next thing they went, error. Now I know it's at a different level, international level, but it can still happen where you're like,
oh, definitely.
We have won. But they didn't. They kept on turning screws into screws.
They were enjoying it so much.
Oh, they were really enjoying it. Like, but
it was the real sadist performance.
The difference, and it's in what you were saying, is that England were playing it up the middle, and that's a sign of a team. If I'm not mistaken, a sign of a team that has absolutely no confidence in its catch pass. Simple as that. Like, you see the difference between when France were ripping it out the back. Every pass was an absolute rip. Like,
but these blocking lines are just devastating. Like, why isn't everybody using them? Because you're talking about catch pass, but that's a short little pass out the back, and
would you explain that to some of our fair weather listeners? Because this is it's not a brand new concept. There's been screening lines and stuff like that when players are running back under a high ball, but this is out through the hands. Will you explain what you mean in that?
Yes.
So your pass, so bog basic would be 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. It sounds fairly basic, but Anna, what have you added to it what did you see France doing?
So a kind of there will be, the defense will line up. You line up opposite a player, but if there's two players kind of standing in behind each other, you're not sure which one is yours, because you can't really stand that close to someone in defense. because one pass could take both of you out.
Yeah.
So you've got to have massive communication in your defense. Who are you taking? Are you going to take the man in behind, the short line, or whatever? But old school would have been like, there used to be, everyone used to stand up alongside each other and like pass it along, and whoever got through, like whatever. But that was really easy to defend. So now the difficult thing is put someone in behind and they can choose their own space to come in. It used to just be the fullback that used to do that. But now what we've got is like, let's say the 9 passes to the 10 passes to me, and I'm in 12. And I turn around and I've now got 2 options.
You've got
so I can do a short line to usually the 13. And so when they run, and like I can make that decision at the very last second, so everyone has to be expecting it. When they run, the defense has to stay on him. And if the defense stays on him, I'll pull it out the back, and usually there'll be a gap on the outside there. But if the defense is worried about the fella out the back and they don't bite in on the fella who's coming in short, that's where that gap opens up for the short line. But the short lines are so hard to defend that usually the defense has to stay tight.
Yes.
So that means that they'll do like 2 passes out the back, like, and you've pulled in the defense once, you've pulled them in again a second time, and there's gaps out wide. Everyone's using it. Like, this kind of real team and attack, this Six Nations. Don't know how that comes across. As if you're just listening to this on a radio, you'd need a bit of a what's it called, like a whiteboard session.
Yeah, I know, but it's at least, and nobody puts these things down on nobody ever mentions it on any of these rugby podcasts, and it's good. At least now we can force questions from people if they have questions, because of course we promised that people that we will do some form of a how to rugby. But it's great to hear. So now at least people, when they watch next week's game, then they see that, they'll go, that's what Anna was talking about. I see. There's a huge gap now between. And that's what almost caught us last week against Italy, when Bundyaki was so out of position at 13. He didn't have the confidence to be able to move out. So huge gaps were happening between him and James Lowe. And James Lowe wasn't confident in him either. So he was like, oh, my, I can come in. And he would, and that's where Italy was catching us.
Communication that you need, like constant. Like, it used to be easy. You could just, from the ruck, you could be like, yeah, she's mine. But if they're moving, then changing options, you need to change. Okay, I'll take short, or I'll take this space, or whatever. So
now, before we move on, I know for a fact that you have, there was a few dick of the days, but you have a dick of the day during the England match. we discussed it beforehand. Your dick of the day came about the early 70s, when England were, their trousers were down. No, let's use an Eddie O'Sullivanism, where they were taken to the woodshed like a bad dog, old yeller, and they were after giving an awful going over. And at that stage, you should be just kind of keeping your mouth shut, staying Cunis de Bale, stay quiet. But unfortunately, Anna's dick of the day didn't. Talk us through it, then.
Don't you know, we all make mistakes. There's no need to cry. We love you still. You're our champion and our dick of the day.
Goes to Tom Curry, who 70-something minute, and France were on their line playing out. Was England in possession?
I can't remember if England were in possession, but it went the way of England anyway.
It actually doesn't matter.
Rock.
France knocked it on, and the ref blew up gave a scrum to England. And like, it's 70-something minutes, they're like 30-something points down. And Tom Curry turned around like, yes! Like, run to the crowd. And I was like,
oh Jesus Christ.
Oh. I don't know what he must have been feeling in that moment. What was he? Maybe it was just a personal kind of.
It had to be. It had to
be.
Like...
Or, oh my God, it was so embarrassing. I was like,
you could see even some of his teammates were like, tone it down, Tom.
Like, relax. Like, I think, like, they've probably earned a little knock on there because they've been working so hard. And like, maybe they just really wanted to score, so he was really happy that they were going to have a scrum. I don't know. I was watching, I was like, oh no. A lot of people commented on it actually, which is a bit lousy. But like, that's why we give out dick of the day, because it's like, look, we all behave in silly ways.
Yes.
still, your teammates will still love you, I'm sure. Even though they probably gave him a Dick of the Day in the.
Oh, do you,
Sorry, on Dick of the Day, after our match on Saturday, the girls from Seville stayed up and like everyone went drinking in the clubhouse. And all of a sudden there was this Welsh referee there. And I was talking to him, he'd come to watch our match. He had texted the club and said, I'm in Coruña for a weekend for work. I want to watch some Six Nations. Are you showing it, or where shows it? And they were like, no, we're showing it, but our girls are playing. So we came to watch. This Welsh fella in the crowd. So I was talking to him afterwards and he was asking about like just what it's like to play here. And he was like, do you do Dick of the Day?
no.
Yeah. And I was like, no, we don't. We had a boat race, all right, but
what would be what's Dick of the Day in? What would be an insult? Because it doesn't have to be a direct translation of Dick, but I mean, what would be what would be a wally of the day? You know what I mean? A bit of a gobshite of the day.
I don't know. Pica del Dia is Dick of the Day.
Okay, Pica del Dia.
But I'm not sure if that translates to actual like dick, you know.
It's not like penis of the day. Like, oh, let's get
penis of the
day. I know.
Served up hot.
So Dick of the Day goes to Thomas Curry.
Sorry.
Yes.
I had a question. Okay, well, no, hang on. We have to get on to this Irish game. Right, are we all done? England, France?
I just want to say Tom Curry's in that moment when I saw him cheering and all his mates looking at him like, oh, Jesus. It reminds me of that time, that kid in primary school that's writing away and then a teacher asks him something and by accident he sits up and goes, ma'am? He actually calls the teacher mum by accident or mummy by accident. And it's that moment you're like, oh, you called the teacher mummy.
I think I did that.
Yeah. That was your first.
Definitely did that as well. We've all done that.
Of course you did. But that's what's beautiful is that every one of us gets a Dick of the Day because we've all done that.
True,
that was like their moment where it's like, oh, Tom, shut up.
Oh, God, yeah, they're like, oh.
Well, yes, look, we'll move on to the part of the show that everybody's been waiting for. We were only that I don't know what we were doing, talking about that other stuff, but truth be told, we were only wanting to get on to the most. I tell you what, Ireland keep not just bringing the wins, they keep on bringing the drama. Drama. My good God. Where did you watch it? Did you watch it in the clubhouse?
I watched it here in this wardrobe.
Did you?
I stayed at home because I wanted to hear English commentary, because the Spanish commentary is so neutral and so like kind of, people don't know that. Like I listened to the world feed, basically the Royal Nugent one, because I just wanted to listen to Royal Nugent commentating, and so I actually just watched it here at home, my headphones in. I was screaming. I'd say people thought someone was getting murdered. So yeah, which is a bit sad, but actually I was happy to like be able to watch it live and just hear the commentary and just watch, like, it totally soaked up in it. So yeah, where did you watch it? At home with the young fella swinging off your ears? Yeah.
And Jesus Christ, he got so he's 3, he doesn't know what he's watching, but and everybody's Johnny. As soon as they take off running, everybody's Johnny. But as soon as he saw the scrummaging, he was like, this is it. This is me. I'm ready. And it's just, he wants a gum shield. He doesn't know what a gum shield's for. Yeah. But he's like, he just, as soon as he sees the scrummaging, he's like over to granddad. Poor old fella, like getting milled out of it by a 3-year-old who has a concrete head. So yeah, it was, but you know what? He's getting better at watching rugby. He's not quite as violent in the excitement of Lebanon. He's watching it now to a degree. And then every 15 seconds ago or so, he's gone and he's trying to scrummage the dog. It's very enthusiastic, stressful, because you turn around and he's hanging off, the curtain pole. Like, oh, geez. You're trying to keep one eye on the match. But I did. I watched on with the young fella, the dog, and the old lad, and it was, I probably don't help the situation either, because I do a lot of shouting at the television, and being a fan of rugby, you can kind of see things happening before. And why I shout, I don't know, because they can't hear me to tell him that to move it left, because that's where James Lowe has started swinging around to. Of course, perhaps it's to show the other people in the room subconsciously that I know about ruggers and you don't. I don't know. Maybe I am that guy. I hope I'm not. But I'm probably getting something different from it than my dad is. You know what I mean? Like where he's watching it in absolute real time, I'm watching it like probably at 2 seconds, 3 seconds before him, if you know what I mean. Probably like definitely how you're probably watching it 10 seconds beforehand, going, Jesus Christ, look, just open, you know. But
Yeah.
I did think your dick of the day, and I'm not going to take it off you because it's a quality dick of the day. But I was wondering where you come up with James Ryan. Oh, his big old fat forward hands. Where he was. Do you remember he was away, and all he had to do was just be a bit,
Oh
a bit more subtle. But his big. In fairness, that was late in the match, and he put in
that
some
was
shit.
brilliant as well. The build up to that, I was screaming. That was so good. Jeez, yeah, I could have given that to him as well. Good old dick of the day there as well.
But
I'd say they gave him.
in fairness, it wasn't. You know, you'd excuse him. It wasn't a wally of a move. To be fair, it wasn't a stupid thing. It was just his big out forward hands just couldn't let it go. He put way too much muscle behind it, like, and it just couldn't get it. I think was it Mack coming in again? I can't remember who was coming in, or maybe it could have been Jameson Gibson Park. But
yeah.
Right. Let's get you off the mark, and let's get Anna's take on the Ireland versus Scotland from the get go. Were you pumped for the anthems and everything? Your one was up there. Yeah. She was blowing it. I couldn't stop thinking.
She was. And actually, did you see there was a cable that was coming down from the thing? And I thought it was attached to the pipe. And I was like, oh my God. Like,
we said this.
Cable. But when it zoomed out, it was just a cable behind. But it looked like it was attached directly to the top.
Yeah. My first thought was like, man, imagine how in Scotland, with the kind of weather we've been getting of late, she must been freezing her whole off up there, like, because you know she didn't just walk up there; she's been up there 20 minutes beforehand, like at least.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
I hope she had her dry robe with her.
She definitely had her dry robe with her. She had her thermal jocks on, no doubt. But
so worth it though. It's so cool. I need to look into this. If anyone knows who actually is she like the lead piper of the pipe band or the National Orchestra or something, because I need to find out who she is.
The only way they can make it cooler is if they could, you know, like the sky cameras that fly in over. If they could if they could suspend her on one of them, like something out of like a West End panto, where they could actually have her actually floating over the pitch. I'm just putting.
Or if they could even just give us the camera angle of what she can see.
Oh, they did. And it is really ropey roof structure. I would not be standing on that piece of shit without serious harnessing. Like rusty, it's scabby as hell in behind. Yeah.
Do they bring people up there, like, you know, in Croke Park and stuff? And
Anna, you wouldn't. What I saw, you wouldn't be bringing. You wouldn't let the fucking health and safety officer up there for starters, anyway.
It has to be safe enough for the piper.
It looked cat. I thought she'd have a platform at least out of a sheet of ply or something, or an old pallet for her to stand. She's standing on the tin roof, and there's rusty brackets everywhere around her. I'm like, good on you, girl. Good. I hope they're fucking paying you well, because I wouldn't go up on that piece of shit. It looked ropey, like proper ropey. I was expecting it to be swish looking, you know, like the new modern stadiums looking. No, it looks like a barn roof up the top with bits of rust and everything in it. So I was very surprised. It's just as well that they don't typically show from up there, because it would have been like it didn't have Princess Anne written all over that roof up there. I'll tell you that much.
She doesn't give a shit though.
She was worried about Gary. Did you see at the end? That's how much she loves the Ruggers. Like she was presenting Johnny with that quiche. What did they call it? The quiche century? That's
quiche.
The quiche. I don't know. Somehow it's an old Scottish word, surely, is it?
Yeah. It's an old drinking vessel.
But the
was that what she was asking him about?
Yeah, she goes, "How's Gary? Is he all right?" That was actually her first question. Like,
yeah, it's a shame to have such a bad injury like that, especially on such an unreal player. Not like it matters the player, but just in terms of
on his 50th cap as well. Like,
oh God, like when your arms go up like that.
Yeah. Because he got starched. He got starched during was it the first game of the All Blacks as well? Do you remember he got absolutely starched in that one too? His arm was actually just left sticking in the air. Yeah. To be honest, Gary, I'd be booking the Seychelles or Mauritius, and just go hatch out there for 3 months, man. Just doing your calisthenics, do push-ups. do nothing that can even come close to your skull. Do nothing for the next 3 or 4 months until the World Cup starts ramping up.
Yeah.
Because getting two like that inside 6-7 months, two absolute go to sleepers. No. Anybody will tell you the nerve endings in the chin. Any fighter will tell you. Yeah. Often you'll see guys take a year off after getting starched like that, after getting straightened. And unfortunately, that's 2 inside 6 months. Like, I know they'll probably scan him and say, you know, if he shows up fine, he's fine. But there's some old school methods of just R&R. It was a pity to see it, but Jesus, like. But anyway, getting on with the game.
I thought it was fucking brilliant.
Wasn't it? Like, what does imagine what the belief? But it was I hate using the word workmanlike, because it's the level of professionalism and lack of ego, like prima donna. It was, I'm going in there now. I've been in the front row loads, says Cian Healy. Should let me into fucking 35. Sure, there's nothing I haven't seen.
It was such a weird moment, wasn't it, when Josh van der Fleer threw the ball when Ronan Keller was still on the pitch.
Yeah.
I was like, what? And then Ronan Keller goes into scrummage. I was like, fuck, it's obviously he can't lift his arm in whatever way. And then Cian Healy was down on the sideline, like warming up and like going through stuff like that. That shit happens. That shit happens in loads of games where you're like, right, okay, you're gonna have to go in here now. But like, imagine, and I certainly would have been watching, because I love watching the subs warming up. Most people do. They'd spend more time watching the subs warming up than the actual game. Like, doing that when like the whole crowd is watching, being like, what's going on there? Like, he's coaching him. Like, you don't see someone being coached or given tips right before going in, like, not to that detail. I would have been like, what the fuck? And like, straight in. It was so good. I couldn't get over that Ireland kept winning those lineouts.
Yeah.
When Josh van der Fleer was throwing, I was like, what the fuck?
I messaged he's become a good friend, John Fogarty, the scrum coach, and now he was a hooker himself in his day. So I suppose he had, look, this is what I'm going to get you to point A to point Z. Don't worry about the fucking shit in between. That's just not gone out the window right now, Cian. This is how you're just going to lock it out. You're just going to lock it out in the centre, because he's built like a tank anyway. But it was like, he was so nonchalant about it in the interviews afterwards. He was like, sure, look at this. You know what I mean? And he is kind of a cool cat anyway. Like, it is, you know, he likes making knives and stuff like that in his spare time. He's, you know, he makes Damascus steel knives for his opposition players. But it was the lineouts. Now, that was twofold. They were saying it was incredible by Josh van der Fleer. It was. But I would urge people to go back and find those lineouts again. On 3 of those lineouts that they went to the front, I swear to God, if God, Allah, whoever you're into, showed up himself, he was not getting that fucking ball off Peter O'Mahony. It was like my dog when I kick a ball. Messi wouldn't get the ball off my dog. It is that animalistically going for it. Watch it again. It is furious how O'Mahony goes for that ball. But it's you see O'Mahony.
They had to, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. O'Mahony's timing as well. You could see it. It was like, there was almost a moment where he kind of looked at him like, I look after this. I'm fucking... And he just... Because a few times they competed for it. Scotland competed for it. But it was like O'Mahony's...
behind him, even though they had space in front. Like, it was so obvious every time. Like, I just think that was really foolish from Scotland. Like, they were behind the jumper. They were behind Peter O'Mahony. I was just like, what are you doing? Like, he's obviously going to throw to the front. And obviously they then had to like move it back and change it up a little bit, which kind of made... If Josh van der Fleer had come out of that without making an error, like, which, because obviously some of the... one of the lineouts anyway didn't go to hand because they had to
go long, middle or from...
The media would have loved it, and everyone would have loved tweeting it, being like 100% record as a hooker, blah, blah, blah. Because they were already tweeting it after those first 3. But I couldn't believe it that Scotland could let 3 go like that. First one, fine, even though you would have read the first one. I don't know, I still thought it was so weird. I was like, there's space to jump in front of them. That's where I would have jumped and just been like, just put them under pressure.
Yeah, I mean, but this is where Scotland are a brilliant team, to take nothing away from it. This is Scotland are a class outfit. They've class players, but cuteness is unbelievable. And nous, I think, is the word they use, which I don't know. You never find that being used in any other environment other than sport. But cuteness and cop on, put the shoe on the other foot. You could be guaranteed. You think Peter O'Mahony wouldn't know exactly who that's going to? Do you know, as to reiterate what you're saying? Like, he'd go, I'm just gonna jump. Yeah, but it was.
And not to take away from how brilliantly Ireland managed it, because they did. And if they're not marking you there, fucking dead right, and go for it. And they obviously got up high enough, and they knew that they'd be able to get Peter Manny a little bit higher, but still no one was in front of him. I'd say they were like laughing, being like, do they know that this fella's not a hooker? You know?
Even I think Bernard Jackman tweeted going, I'd take that percentage. I'd take it as if I got it, I'd take it. I want to ask your opinion on now. Rules is rules, as they say, but Ireland's first try, which, as you had alluded to, another fucking word that I'm using from other pundits, I hate.
A great
one. You said before we got recording, you are almost going to give the dick of the day to Superman, Caelan Doris, who that whole
debate.
No,
I gave him Clatter of the Week for falling from the sky.
Oh, he gets Clatter of the Week. Okay, all right.
It's the Clatter of the Week. Ooh.
We gave him Clatter of the Week. That was an interesting part of the game, because actually my friend messaged me afterwards and she was like, geez, I never knew that about the second ball. I don't know. I think they should have given the try. It was Scotland's fault.
See, this is so to explain to people, because I got a couple of messages myself, and I left 2 voice notes on how. So, in a relatively recent times, you'll hear referees saying "ball's alive, ball is alive, ball is alive" when it's the current ball that was in play previous. When the player, you'll often see the likes of the scrum half will be kind of jumping around, going, "Am I going to pass it in? Am I going to throw a fast one?" And you'll hear "ball is alive."
But that depends on whether the ball is, if it hits something, so it could hit off the
corner flag.
Board,
yes, yeah,
or
right.
It's the advertising boards, or like a bottle of water, or basically it has to touch nothing for it to still be alive.
Yes.
So that's why you see players like rushing to pick it up, or you'll see like some ball boys will have been like drilled on this to run to pick up the ball, so before the other team gets it. So like that's an interesting tactical thing, but like it has to not have touched anything. But for you to play quickly, so to have it replaced by a new ball makes absolutely no sense, because
that was the thing,
because it was a quick line out. But my kind of argument is like, what at what stage does it become a quick line out and not? What are the rules there? Because Scotland were kind of set up.
Well, my take on
I wouldn't just
go on, sorry.
No, what I was going to say was that they did it quickly, but it wasn't a quick line out.
Yeah, that's exactly my take on it, because it was like, it's not a quick line out if it's not the original ball and it hasn't touched anything, so the ball isn't alive. Do you know, there's no alive ball, and that's what I was trying to say. So alive ball means go play away. So you can sling it whatever way you want. Which, like, if anybody remembers back to the Maori game in November, where Keith Earls, the ball was alive. The Maoris went to sleep, but Jordan Larmour was wide awake to it and took off like a bullet, which allowed Keith Earls to give the fast one, because the ball was alive, as they keep on saying, and hadn't hit anything. But in that instance, the old ball was fucked away. The ball boy came in and gave a new one, which officially makes it a not quick one.
Yeah.
And then he throws it a ridiculous Hail Mary of a pass. I think it's play on. I personally, I couldn't see it. And even when the ref tried to explain it, I went, I'm still not seeing it, man, because I stand to be corrected, but I assumed new ball means fresh throw. Now, in that instance, does that mean a big official thing has to happen with the assistant ref behind? Does the gap has to be formed, all this shit. Like there's like,
Yeah.
that's all I
Well,
can imagine
at
is that
what
the ref
stage
has to
does-
stick his nose in to make it a
But it needs to be very clear, and I'll do some reading about it. At what
Yeah.
stage does it stop becoming a quick line out and comes just a regular line out? Because to me, that was like a regular line out done quickly.
Yeah, that's was my seeing of it anyway. And I love Peter O'Mahony. He's goes, they can use whatever ball they want, nothing to do with us. It was like,
Yeah, it was so
and
I love that.
and
There was
Sexton straight in.
there was
Yeah.
loads of noise picked up on the ref's mic this
There
weekend.
was,
more than usual. Yeah,
Like
you can hear fellas going, "Oof."
yeah, there was. You could really hear the
Careful
impacts.
context in which we shall award Catcher of the Week to Caelan Darce, who fell out of the sky
Hey,
and
Caelan
then
Darce.
injured his arse, injured his hip.
Jeez,
So
he almost got ticket today as well for throwing himself in like that. But
yes.
yeah.
We'll give him Catcher of the Week for literally going for it. My God, there was no holding back. It was so exciting. My God, it would have been an unbelievable moment of the game if it had been allowed play through.
Yeah, he's.
But there would, do you know what as well though? It would have been a kind of what if moment, because it was kind of luck and kind of an uncharacteristic kind of way of getting a try. So there would have been like, oh, sure, that first try just did us in, so we'd no chance after that. You know?
Yeah, we shot
thing.
ourselves in the foot. It was almost like a penalty try moment. Yeah. So
So actually, fuck them. We didn't want to try.
But you know what? I mean, we couldn't have made it much harder on ourselves. So we lost our two hookers. We lost one second row. He broke his arm. Needs he's surgery and everything. So that's his Six Nations done for Henderson. Ryan Baird comes on, and we lost. Who else did we lose to injury? We lost Caelan Darce, our number 8. Good God Almighty, and we had our number. Our spare prop go in at hooker, and we had our number 7 throw in at a line out. Have you ever thrown in at a line out in such a scenario? Because it seemed like, it was nearly like what had happened in junior rugby. Junior rugby, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, lads, one of you's going to have to go in front row. Okay.
I'll do it.
I'll do it. But it would...
Oh, fuck no, I never went into the front row.
No. Sure, you'd be only a maniac go in there. But the fact that it didn't go uncontested scrums, I was like, this was some Rocky Balboa shit. I was watching going, it'll have to go uncontested. It'll have to go on. They're not going... They haven't mentioned it. They're not going uncontested. Cian Healy, you fucking animal. You're going in like you've switched from one side of the scrum to prolong your career. Genius move a couple of years back. And now you're going, do you know what? I'll go in the fucking middle if that's what you want off me. Like, I love the level of professionalism that there was no cribbing from anybody. There seemed to be no level of cribbing. Do you know, or whinging going, yeah, but I'm not a hooker. It was like, just put me in there. It's great. It's great. It's great. It's great. It's great. It's great. It's fine.
It's a real team attitude thing. And like, again, would like credit Andy Farrell with a lot of that. Like, the environment he's created, like
it's incredible. The environment he's created.
Yeah.
His post career in giving talks to companies will be in the millions, because the environment he's created there around. We want the heart. Like, if you want to know what you're made of, you want to go to war. Like Peter O'Mahony, who is known as the war god, is literally playing the best stuff he has ever, like, still milling fellas in the 70th minute, like milling fellas out over the line, like, and people keep, were writing him off a year ago going, he doesn't have it left anymore. And you're going, Jesus Christ almighty, like, like, when you look at it, the character he can pull out of somebody like Peter O'Mahony, when you consider who could be playing at number 6 if he wasn't there. Do you know, like, the standard that's behind him, like, my good Jesus Christ almighty to get, I mean, and the change up, like, you come on, we lost, Bundy went off. Was it Bundy went off and Robbie came on? It was, wasn't it? Am I thinking? No, sorry, Gary went off. Gary Ringrose comes off. But you look and you're like, oh, Gary Ringrose is coming on. Or Robbie Henshaw is coming on instead.
Yeah, it was great to see.
Class. Absolutely class.
But like, talking about Andy Farrell there a second ago, I loved, there was a moment after the game when they asked him about Josh van der Fleer, because obviously the media was having a field day with
they
it.
were just rubbing themselves down with lube. You could hear him going, "Oh my
Dude,
god, yeah."
they were loving it. But like they asked Andy Farrell about him, and Andy Farrell was like, "Sure, he took up golf there 3 years ago, and now he's in this." But like that personal detail connection that he knows Josh van der Fleer so well, that he knows that he took up golf 3 years ago and that he's in a single handicap, like he knows them and he adores them. And they seem to adore him, and I hope I'm really right with that now, but because it seems to be very, even like it makes me think back to which we spoke about a few weeks ago, about the lads when they were coming onto the pitch holding hands.
Yeah.
Like being really silly, and like the pictures that they get afterwards, like being silly and
being
laughing.
allowed to be silly, yeah.
Yeah, and being very affectionate with one another, and it's obviously, and that comment by Farrell like kind of proves it even more to me, that like he knows, he's talking to Josh van der Fleer about golf and knows that about him. He's probably played with him and they're probably playing him, and even you can see him afterwards like giving them a hug and like looking them in the eye and asking them a question. Do you know, like I think that's just incredible. And like thinking about Andy Farrell, he'll probably go on to coach England, will he?
Yeah, you'd have next challenge, really, I would imagine. But he's loving life. He sees himself as an Irishman. I mean, look at his surname, for God's sake. Like, but I mean, there's no mountain like starting for Wigan at 17. You know.
Well, I was listening to him talk about this weekend, and he was like, we get to play England.
Yes, yeah.
We play England in in Dublin on Paddy's weekend. Like how better? It doesn't get much better than that. Like talking like pure Irishman, which is so admirable as well, that he's able to just like, boom, that's to the side now. I'm Irish. I'm in this. Like,
have you seen how cold? Have you seen how cold she's been with the sun? Like as when they're in official duty places, like there's no wink and there's none of that. It's it is what it is. It's
very professional. Yeah,
professional. That's the residing things within professional. But I mean, even reading how much love he has for guys in reading Keith Earls' book. Earls has forms of dyslexia, and reading and stuff like that wouldn't be his strongest attribute, and he was terrified, petrified with I suppose imposter syndrome for so many years of his life. And Farrell recognized this because he came from a working class environment himself, to go from rugby league to going on to play with England 15s. But he understood him, and he brought him in. He found out the day before this particular, I think it was just team room. They were playing something like, I don't know, I Spy. It was just something that would involve, no, it wasn't I Spy. It was something that would involve spelling out whatever this game was. And Farrell just put his hand up and dying with nerves. Keith Earls was dying with nerves, even though he played with these guys hundreds of times. And Farrell just made an excuse for him on, that man scored more tries than any fuckers have had dinner. He's not playing it. It's bullshit. Come on, Earlsy. Come on. I've got something to tell you anyway. And took him out of the equation with you know what I mean, and nobody thought any more about it. Do you know, nobody thought, it was like, oh, Grant, Earlsy's gone with the boss. Grant. Anyway, back to the game. Do you know, but it was like, I could breathe a sigh of relief. You know what I mean? Because he was there to take that time with him. You're like, oh, what a class act. What a class act. But the proof is in the pudding. Like the same lads are pretty much there that were there 4 or 5 years ago, but they're playing like, Jesus Christ, they are playing really, really good. What happens now though? Who starts? The big question is, because I mean they were waxing lyrical, as they say, about Jameson Gibson Park when he came on, but here's the thing. I don't know. They were. Look, at 55 minutes, he definitely, you're watching the match for 55 minutes. You can go, oh, I see we haven't box kicked in close inside the 22. Now that's what I'm going to do when I come on first. So it's easier to watch a whole game and have, the coaches give you a game plan running on to a tired Scotland team at that stage.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would have been able to live with the tackles that Conor Murray had to live with. Murray put in a ferocious amount of tackles, counter-rucking, slowing ball down, that only a big man would be able to do. So, I mean, I'm reading today that he'll have to start. He'll have to start next week. You're
Mm.
like, he doesn't actually. Sometimes you want that rocket to absolutely squeeze him in the last 30 minutes. Just out of
Yeah.
the interesting one out of 9. What do you reckon?
I think go with what's been working. Allow Conor Murray to finish out the championship as the starting 9.
Yeah. It maybe send the wrong message around too if otherwise, because he's done nothing wrong.
No, you're not going to say that like, let him. I kind of like pity. Like
yeah.
It's not. I think he's done.
Oh God, no.
He's done brilliantly. Like so, I don't see any reason to change that. Like so. It'll be interesting if he changes that. It'll be a bit kind of like, a bit fucked off for Conor Murray. I think if he's demoted to the bench, more or less, they say change his role, to an impact player as opposed to
starters and finishers. Before I go, I know I didn't look it up, but I should have really properly looked it up. I will reply to anybody as polite. I should have been more professional. I don't know where I left the phone, but I do remember one message in particular. It came through and it was asking if perhaps it was from Baz Murphy, asked about the game. Would Cian Healy have been down on the team sheet as a reserve hooker anyway? He'd probably, he'd have a few titles, wouldn't he? Like, if you can play hooker, because you can't just rock up and decide on the minute.
No, you have to have been down. I think most props will be covering a hooker. They'll have a third, and then just pray to God that you never really need them.
Yes, yeah, of course, yeah.
He will have been down as the hooker cover, yeah.
I did. There was one, and I got it. Where did I put it? Yes.
Even in the warm up, because even if a hooker went down in the warm up, you would need someone as a hooker cover for who was to start, and there's always needs to be an eventuality for any member getting injured in the warm up. So that would have been it.
I mean, and all 3 positions across the front row are what they call specialized, and to be they'd be the only specialized for safety. Like, look at the build; it's completely different than anybody else on the pitch. So you'll see specialized guys and that's why you hear uncontested scrums where they just turn into Maurier scrums where they're just kind of leaning against each other, but the ball will never be competed for, and it's kind of a sad thing to see. Like, it's like, right, even though scrums I think are getting a bit more entertaining. But I had one message sent through from Dave Walsh, and he was I was able to pull this one up on my somehow on this computer. I don't know how it came through to the computer via my phone, but it did. Has it ever? I don't know what's happening here, but it was. Dave says, I missed the end of the Scotland Ireland game as I had to swim classes with the twins. Thought I'd missed it for nothing as the swimming instructor never showed up. Luckily, at the last minute, Josh van der Fleer stood up out of the deep end and took over the class for the rest. Even drove us all home as well. Fair fucking played. I think it's a great message.
It's ongoing, but we're not surprised, are we?
We're not surprised. Jesus Christ. I think that this same chap actually got a table quiz question the other night. Or was it him? I think it was Dave. He messaged me to go in the middle. I think he was in the middle of it. And it was which one of these 3 was born in Ireland? Jamie Heaslip, Ron O'Gara, or Josh van der Fleer? And I was like, well, it was Josh van der Fleer. It's like O'Gara was America, and Heaslip was Israel. And I probably didn't need to answer that much to tell him the others, but that was just me being a total Norse, like just.
Yeah, that's pure like trick question because everyone's like, oh, but he's South African. It's like,
No. All round.
She's very exotic, that one.
And Anna Kaplice, of course. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, my back's telling me from sitting in this wardrobe.
I know. We need to get you a proper studio chair, proper studio. But sure, I mean, you're probably going to end up, I don't know, playing for Spain or something now at this stage. Jesus Christ, you're dragging.
Sorry, can I put out a call to arms here?
Yeah.
I've been invited to play in Hong Kong 10s at the end of the month, and it's with a really cool invitational team called FRN, Find Rugby Now, and they cover most they cover everything, but they only cover part of the flight cost, and the rest of the flight cost is I can't afford it, basically. So I'm looking for a sponsor. So there's any rich sponsors out there that hear this on Wednesday, please get in touch.
Know that as a sponsorship of a sports player, you can write most of that off as tax in October. So you'll be doing a good thing, a fun thing. I'm sure Anna
I didn't
will.
know that.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, yeah. It can be, if it can be seen as a charity in a way, like the sports player team. Like a bloke I know, he had a curbing business, and he spent most of his tax on his love of sponsoring motorbikes in Mondello. Yeah, he was able to get rid of a lot of it that way. So there you go.
Class.
Yeah, there you go.
Jesus.
Yeah.
We needed a tax part of the of the podcast.
Oh, I don't know. Before we go to predictions, I have no idea who's playing who next weekend. Italy are playing France next weekend, isn't it? Is it? No, it wouldn't be.
No, Italy and England. Oh my gosh.
No, we're playing
Why
England.
don't we know this?
We're playing
Sorry.
England. So if we start there,
Who's
we're
left?
playing England. France.
I actually did know that.
France have to
So
play.
it has to be France and Wales.
Yes, Italy and Scotland.
Scotland. Yeah,
next
that's what
weekend.
it is.
Jesus Christ. I really should have looked that up. But who gives a fuck after that match we just watched at the weekend? The dramatics. Jesus Christ. This Netflix.
We want this weekend. We want more drama, more Paddy's weekend drama.
We could not have picked a better Six Nations to start our podcast. And Netflix, coincidence? I don't think so. Netflix came on board as well at this time. Not with us, but hey, Netflix, if you're out there, we listen to us. We know everything. Well, Anna knows everything there is to know about rugby. I can chime in at the correct points because I know when she's coming to a stop on Zoom. There was a moment actually with that green hat that your hair actually collided. And I wish I could have taken the screenshot because it looked like you had the Scottish beard. You know, the beard.
Oh my gosh, hang on. Okay, well, while I'm fixing my beard, we go predictions.
Okay, so Italy play
What's now? Because I'm tired of sitting in my wardrobe.
Italy play Scotland, and I think I can. I can't. No, I can't take it. No, this thing is an asshole of yoke. I thought it was. In this very moment, please go to the YouTube video of this. This is fucking amazing. You're starting to turn into me slightly, Anna, with that beard hair.
Much better looking version.
Oh yeah. You've got great teeth.
Oh Jesus, I'm stunning.
I love
right,
that. Right,
we go with an Italy win.
Yeah, I think Italy are going to pull it out of the bag because I think Scotland are dejected. I think Finn needs to go on a holiday. He has been playing non-stop, and that's I hate to give excuses, but
we're chatting about Ben Healy getting a run.
Yeah, well, Finn looked like a bag of piss running around for the last 10 minutes. He's had no legs under him. He was playing for fucking wrestling the fellow weeks when everybody else was playing golf and scratching their hole. So do you know what? At this stage, throw the kitchen sink. Let Healy out there. I'd love to see Healy play. In that case, if I would see Healy play, I'm going to see him. I hope to see 50-22s all over the shop. Spirals. I actually want to see Scotland win.
Playing, we want a Scottish win.
But if he's not, I think Italy were fuming with themselves at the weekend. Like fuming. They really believe that they should have been in thereabouts at the weekend. So you know what? I agree. Italy. Let's go Italy. France play Wales at the weekend. Oh Jesus Christ! Jesus,
they'll need a few Welsh cakes in their lunchbox before that match.
Yeah, lads.
I'll go for a Welsh win just to.
Just to be a bollocks about it, yeah, because I think
some kind of positivity.
I love how you turned into. I wish I can't find my phone to take me. I will take a screenshot when I do the video of this. Right now, anybody, Jesus Christ, that is incredible. Anna has plaited her hair into a hair beard, and she actually looks like a member of Vikings right now. She's fucking amazing. That's brilliant. I'm going, France. I think they're. I don't think they're even going to. I think they'll be smoking fags for the first 10 minutes. They'll be busting out the baguettes before the 35th minute. I'd say they'll be supping wine 55 minutes in, and they'll still put 30 points on Wales. 30 points minimum on Wales because I don't think they're going to want to run their legs off. But then DuPont is such a competitor. he might actually just pick up player and ball and not actually pass the ball. Just pass the ball once, then catch that player, catch maybe Jelly Bear or into Mack, and just put him on his back and run him over the line. Because the guy is just, I hate using next level, but he's, if there is a next level, he's God almighty. He is on it. Yeah, I'm saying France are going to take Wales out to the back of the woodshed and give him an awful going over.
Take Wales out of the ocean. And we're going for an Ireland. We're going for a good match, a good owl. I'd say a good competitive first 20 minutes. and then the rose will start to lose its petals. Yeah. Because I think even the England fans will be okay with capitulating on Paddy's weekend in Dublin with a pint of Guinness in their hand. You know what I mean? You can't. I don't think they'll have. England will be hurting, as they say. England will, but you can hurt all you fucking want. You can have a right pain in your hole all you want. But the truth be told is, if you don't have a game plan, or have at least been sticking to a game plan up until now, like say Italy have, they've been, England have been a bag of fucking wild cats who all hate each other or something. They don't know. Yeah. They don't know if they're Arta or Marta. They don't know where they're supposed to be on the field. And that must be deeply frustrating when you all come together as individually really good players. So yeah, I'd see it's not even, I can't even see like penalties and everything. I'd say, I mean, it not to be an absolute bollocks, but I can't see Johnny Sexton even bothering his hole with taking 3 points. I'd say he'll just be going, put in the fucking corner. Run that in there, lads.
Let's fucking go over it. Do me a favor, will you? Call me when you've scored it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're being obnoxious here, right? I think England.
It's terrible. It would I would prefer.
Yes.
What we need, and this is what I always sing and preach. We need something competitive. So I hope England do turn up with fucking a few daggers in their bags, ready to draw blood, because we want a good game.
Yeah.
We don't want we don't want it won by the end of the first half. That'd be shit. That'd be a shit end to the Six Nations, to have a second half coming in where you're like, oh, we know what's coming here now. Do you know what I'd love if it was like still neck and neck and we were still a bit nervy at halftime? That's what I'd love.
Yes.
That's what I'd love. Halftime. You're like, oh shit, is this what we feared?
That's how I think it would be if Robbie Henshaw didn't just come back. If we were left putting Bundy back out in 13, or if we were gone, if we Findlay Beanham gone and Tig, but Tig is back, Tom O'Toole is back. I don't know what we're going to do at hooker. I don't know. I don't actually know if the two boys aren't back. I mean, you can't be at that fucking carry on every weekend like this, stone madness. Like, so I don't know. I mean,
Cleena Maloney is free.
Who's that?
Cleena Maloney.
Cleena Maloney.
Do you know Cleena? She used to play hooker in Ireland, and she was like, she was outcast. So she'll be free. Get her in there.
Get her in there. I can get her in there. I was going to say Niall Scannell might get a shout out of nowhere, but I think I don't know who they have. Yeah, it could be. If you want to,
some young Leinster fella that we've never even heard of.
Yeah.
Just come in and just
be class.
Boot everyone out of the way. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I would like to think that it was going to be some way close at halftime, but I'd say by the 30-minute mark, they'll have picked hold, because no doubt they'll park the bus for the first 15. Now I'm saying that France had an unbelievable try at 1 minute 44 seconds. Ireland have been starting fast all season, so yeah, I see Mack Hansen probably doing the job again. He's everybody loves him, don't they? Everybody loves Mack. Jim Hamilton has to now get a tattoo. I confirmed with Andy Rowe, the host of the rugby pod. He now has to officially get a tattoo. Yeah, has to get a tattoo of Big Mac written somewhere on his body. Yeah.
Oh, that's class.
Yeah, because have you seen Mack Hansen's tattoos? They're bananas. No. Like, he literally has. They're not bananas. He should get bananas, by the way.
Should get a banana.
But he'll just out of a dare he'll get a mate's face tattooed on his leg, just going, "You fucking hate that, don't you?" "Yeah, why'd you get my face tattooed on your leg?" "Just to annoy you." Just he's a gas bastard, out and out. So he was going to get Big Jim if Ireland went down to Scotland, but instead Jim Hamilton has to get Big Mac written on somewhere on his body now as a result.
Yes.
Class. I mean, this was the Caelan Doris Capuzzo brigade, but I think our head has been turned at the disco, the teenage disco that is the dramatic events of the Six Nations. I think both of us have a gun in for asking Big Mac out for a shift. I'd shift him. I don't know. We both have the same moustache. I can't see it going wrong. Literally.
He's a bit young for me now.
He's definitely too young for me, but look at it. It's like I could just play the Leonardo DiCaprio role and just try to be the non-creepy old fella. Anyway,
Jesus.
This has spiraled off into a weird place. Those have been our predictions. This has been episode 7. This has been a joy one more time. Congratulations to Anna. And she has been invited to play the Hong Kong Tens. If there's any wealthy business people out there who would like to sponsor an athlete, you know what to do. You can claim it back in tax. It's no biggie.
I can do some good content for you.
Very good content. Very, very good
Genuinely,
content.
if anyone actually would like to sponsor me, I really need to book flights. I just can't afford it. the Spanish leagues aren't.
Yeah. I mean, I don't play in the Spanish leagues and I can't afford it. So I just let you know it's neither here nor there. If you want to get Anna, geez, that would be unbelievable if you were. Yeah, if our next episode was going to be from the Hong Kong Tens.
Hong Kong Tens, yeah.
Right.
Probably be in Beijing or some airport on the way, I'd say. But anyway.
Do you know how to say goodbye in Chinese, in Mandarin?
I'm sure I do.
Well, hello is ni hao, isn't it? Or so I was told by my 3-year-old.
Ni hao, yeah. Xie is thank you.
Che.
Sayonara is Japanese, so we can do sentences.
Well, it's a goodbye for me. And
Sayonara!